So we are on the third week of our Adventures in Spirituality. We kicked off the first week with Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., who we had in the house. He is the author of this book, The Mastery of Self. And I was just on maternity leave and came back for my first Sunday last Sunday. And so this is my second Sunday back. Thanks for having me back. Thanks for still being here, and that we still have an incredible community. After I was gone for 2 months, we had incredible speakers and a great time. But every fall, we take the opportunity to dive into a book. And we go on this adventure of 6 to 8 weeks of book study together. We have small groups that meet in people's homes that connect on a deep level and practice these principles and roll it around and just dive into the material. And then we also have an online group that is hosted by Reverend Diana Kennedy, and that is for our live streamers, and it's also for those of you that may have not been able to meet a group because you might have been out of town for a couple of the weeks, or you know that you wouldn't be able to make the full commitment. So I invite you to check in on that so that you can take this practice deeply into your life and let it transform your showing up. One of the other possibilities is to find a friend that even has nothing to do with unity, and just say, hey, I'm reading this book, would you read it with me? So that you have a partner, an accountability partner, an exploration partner, someone to bounce your ideas off of, and someone to deepen with. Because in community we grow, and when we share the principles that make us come alive, we're giving a gift to the world and to the planet. Last Sunday, we talked about the idea of domestication. And I explained that idea. You can think about it. For me, when I read Don Miguel Ruiz Jr.'s book, that word, I thought, what is that? Domestication. He keeps talking about domestication and the dream of the planet. The dream of the planet and your personal dream. So what he's talking about with the dream of the planet is the reality going on around us. And the dream of your own life, it's your own reality, your own dreams, your own vision, what your life experience is. And we're talking about how those things can either conflict or harmonize. Does anyone's dream of their personal dream conflict with the dream of the planet that you're seeing or experiencing right now? Okay, so this book is for you, and it is for me. When he talks about domestication, he is talking about the idea that we would subjugate someone or something, the idea that we would try to control or manipulate outer circumstances or other people in order to meet our own internal desires and our own internal needs, in order to be in alignment with our story. Now that sounds good and all because it sounds like that's how you create peace, that's how you'd create a beautiful world. But what we know in unity is that when we have a practice where we are at war with anything that is, we create conflict, internal and external. So when we are at war with something that is, it's an illusion of the ego to think that if I battle with that, I can dissolve it and create harmony. In fact, it's by accepting what is, which can be a bitter pill to swallow, no? But by accepting what is, we go from the trunk or the passenger side of a vehicle into the driver's seat again. And then we can create from pure consciousness. We can create from holy intention. We can create from sacred ground. So this idea of domestication for me was the easiest to get when I thought about it as an animal, as training an animal. You domesticate a cat. Well, you don't do anything with a cat. They do stuff with you. They let life happen to you, whatever, they do you. But a dog, you can domesticate, right? They're pack animals. You can domesticate a dog. And a dog that has been well domesticated doesn't do some of the things that the other dogs do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that process is a process that we use with each other. And we use it all the time. And we use it with ourselves. And it is probably the greatest threat to freedom and to global freedom that exists. Because when we do it with the self and when we do it with other and when it's in the collective consciousness and that we believe that as a people, any people, pick the person, pick the group, pick the country, pick the idea, pick the theology. When we do it, we create something called exceptionalism. Exceptionalism is my way is better than your way. I'm not okay with how you do things or the way you live your life or the way you do your life. So I need to inflict my will upon you. I need to control you. And then you have a society of dominance, a society of disrespect, A society that doesn't honor the truth that we are all born blessed, that we are intrinsically connected to our Creator because we are of the creative process, and that in fact, the more you get into the spiritual practice, the line is blurred, and that I could know no more for you and your highest good than you could know for mine. That in fact, all I can know is my own. And so it is safe to free myself from domestication. It is safe to free others from domestication, even if we don't like the way it looks externally. We have an opportunity to unleash the domestication that we put on each other. What are your thoughts on unconditional love? In this chapter, the next two chapters that we're talking about today, we talk about unconditional love and conditional love, love of self and love of others. So just take a moment to think about what the words unconditional love bring to mind. What is it? How do you practice it? Do you have it? Does anyone feel like they fall short of it? With yourself or with someone else? Unconditional love has always been something that boggles my mind a little bit because I have an interesting mind. I'm a Virgo, that's not saying anything, but I do have a critical mind. And I've had to learn how to presence that mind without believing it. And the idea of unconditional love has been an interesting exploration because what does it really mean? What does it mean to me? In my mind, there was a time when I thought unconditional love just meant I should have Jesus kind of love all the time for everyone, just feel good about everything in every moment, and not have a critical thought pass my mind. That if I'm going to be unconditional loving, an unconditional lover, I need to be in that space. I invite us to try on something different this Sunday. Try on something more practical than these lofty ideals. Is anyone's idea of unconditional love pretty lofty? Like you're always going, I'm trying to get there. Someday. The ideas we have about unconditional love are often ideas that are on a pedestal. They're often lofty and they're not practical. But Don Miguel Ruiz gives us a practice that can start making them practical. And I would venture to say that when it becomes a practical practice that you can measure, that you can really look at and say, am I doing it? You can start the journey to understanding what true unconditional love is. And it becomes a portal. The practice becomes a portal to really understanding unconditional love. And it starts with this: not trying to manage others. You may think you're not an other manager, but you're all CEOs of management. I have one of my best girlfriends, and we go back and forth on the phone and spiritually support each other and emotionally support each other. And I feel like she would be one of the most magnificent life coaches ever. But she told me at a time when I was struggling with relationship and struggling with trying to manage someone in my dire need to manage my own life and manage someone else. And she said, Erin, you've got to stop managing and simply start observing. Start watching. Watch what is there and what happens when you don't manage, when you don't try to domesticate, when you don't try to control or coerce or influence. Is anyone getting uncomfortable and being like, well, I can't stop that? Then I wouldn't be where I am. Then I wouldn't be in the job I'm in. Then I wouldn't be with the person I am with. Then I wouldn't be able to treat myself in the way I'm treating myself during my self-domestication episodes. And I said to her, well, then I could lose everything. She said, watch. Just watch it. Because you will either find that it rises to the occasion, you're at peace with what is, or you will be able to shift your situation and circumstances to create harmony. Charles Fillmore talked about love as being the great harmonizer. Not such a lofty thing. You know, we talk about love. What is love? What is love? And he said it's a harmonizing faculty. It's a faculty that harmonizes. So I asked myself, how can I harmonize this situation I'm in? How can I harmonize this relationship? And the answer was much different than managing. It was much different than trying to exert control over a situation or a person. And there was freedom there, there was space there, and wisdom emerged there. Let's take unconditional love off of the lofty pedestal and enter into the practical portal of practicing it. So what does it look like? It looks like not managing. It looks like not putting conditions on someone else. I will give and receive love with you from you if you show up like this. And you can equate that to anything, our outer world and our inner world and relationship. It's not subjugating someone or something. It's recognizing that these things, they are not yours to manage, manipulate, convince, coerce, or domesticate. That can feel like a tough thing to get rid of. But begin to feel the lightness of being. How would it feel not to be working so hard at all that? How would it feel to give up that title of CEO and exchange it for the breath of the Holy Spirit? For the breath of life that fully supports each moment, that fully guides, that fully informs. How would it feel to enter into a practice of mindfulness, watching, becoming a watcher, observer, watching for attachments, watching for guilting, watching for shaming, watching for judgment, watching your facial expressions, watching your body language, watching your system of delivering rewards and punishment to responses, reactions to what is. Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. says this: as a master of self, when I look into the eyes of another individual, I see another authentic self, a beautiful expression of the divine. No matter where this person is in the process of awakening, I respect that his or her intent is just as powerful as mine. And in doing so is an act of unconditional love. If I were to try to control this person, I would be lost in the fog and place conditions on my love and acceptance of him or her. If you see the world through eyes of conditional love, you are by definition attempting to control others, imposing your will so that they conform to the definition of who and what you think they should be. Do you see any bit of kind of spiritual arrogance coming up in there? Our idea of what I think they should be. If they don't agree to your demands, they will receive the punishment of your judgment. This is conditional love in a nutshell. But remember, every time you judge someone, you are punishing that person for not following agreements they never made. Every time you judge someone, you are punishing that person for not following agreements they never made.
Well, that concludes the service. Any questions? The mastery of self. So who does it leave? So imagine now writing out your own resignation. That I'm resigning from this impossible, lofty idea that I can control another, and that it is a righteous indignation and notion of that illusion, that confusion, that delusion that put me in that position to begin with. So today, I'm resigning from that position. See if you can resign from it. If you're sitting by somebody you're married to, live with, or potentially may live with, reach over to them and tell them to issue you a pink slip. ask them to de-hire you from that position. So then I can free me and I can free them from me. Then I'm doubly free. I ask Ami when he sings this song, it's one of my favorite songs that he does. I play it in almost every gathering I have, let life do you. And there's such a visual to it because it's either like this or like this. And it's very hard to live like this sometimes when people are dying and sick and losing their jobs and traffic doesn't flow and airplanes get canceled. Oh, that's fantastic. So maybe we don't have to love what is. We don't even have to like what is. But with our arms open like this, let life do us, and mastering ourselves and claiming our own divine right. Claiming our own divine right. To live in harmony with ourselves, to live in harmony with the creator of itself, then I exercise that right today. And I do it interaction to interaction, and then with my arms open when I can't quite accept what is. There's likely going to be somebody out there that can put a hug around us, that can serve there with us, that can walk it with us, that can hold a hand, that can lay a head on our lap like a dog would do when we don't know what to say, when words fall short. So the unconditional love that we may not can access at times can be received in those times. So that in reciprocity of unconditional love when I can, giving unconditional love when I can, and receiving unconditional love when I can't. So being it when I can, receiving it when I cannot. And knowing that the unconditional love that we're speaking of here today is not from another. If we get it from another, that's a bonus. That there's an unconditional love of source, of creator, of whatever you call it, mind, universe, power. One intelligence that is infinitely, eternally, always here as me, as you, for me, for you. Now get a sense of living that. Get a sense of being so embodied in that whatever comes, knuckleheads will come. And what I thought would work out didn't work out the way I thought. That's the terms of it, that's the terrain of it, that's the lay of the land. And there is a way for me to relate to it, however, that is different. And in there lies the power of the universe in my response to anything, my response to this or this or this or this or this. So as I think about this in another book, as I was guided in this talk today, was to give a sermon here today, a thought topic, something to stir me, hopefully to stir you. As you know that my calling, and some of you have heard me say it, is to serve those who serve. So I believe I'm here on purpose for that, and that you are serving in your own ways as I serve in the ways and fulfill the way that I've been called to do that. And the talk became this. Do we want more information or transformation? Information or transformation? So see if you're ready for a transformation today. That if when you leave here, that you leave here transformed. That this was a day that you've dreamed of, a day that you've prayed for, a day, an occurrence, an atonement, an awakening, a born-again experience that you have today, right here, right now, that you leave here transformed. Not just informed, but transformed. And would that be all right with you? So turn to somebody by you and tell them, I'm going to go with the transformed. I'm going to go with transformed. I've chosen that for me. Then I want us to look at just How we can begin to embody this, as Reverend Erin spoke about, that this information is information, and in the embodiment in the transformation is where we're going to then experience and realize what we're singing about, praying about, dreaming of, hoping for. So think about finding things to be satisfied about versus dissatisfied about. If our focus counts, then ways I can be satisfied versus focusing on how I'm dissatisfied. To stop arguing with my pain and to stop arguing for my pain. Resist it or allow. One hurts less. To get under the influence of source. If we're going to be drunk on something, let's be drunk on that. We'll have DUI. She is driving under the influence of source. Don't mind her, she's driving under the influence of source. As we start to do this, they may try to lock us up because it's going to be a us that they've not seen yet, an us that's less reactive, that is more innovative, that is less reptilian, that is more creative, that is more thoughtful, more resourceful, more resilient, more uncommonly motivated to be the ones that brings the change to the world that we're intent on seeing. We're the ones. It is now. And then what would stop us? What would stop you? What thing, what person, what place? Because you'll get a chance to practice now before you leave. You'll get over to the community center and there will not be something over there that suits you. So get a sense in that very holy interaction, what it would be like, what unconditional love in that moment would be like. An unconditional love for yourself, not to resist it. An unconditional love for them, to not challenge them or cross them. An unconditional love then that we understand through holistic thinking and our practices and new thought that whatever I do affects the whole. So I've not just created peace in me, I've not just created peace in a relationship, but I have thrown a big pebble of peace into the pond of humanity. And that those waves carry too, vibrationally carry, to reaches unseen. So, who can master your life? This is good news. The fact that something else can, or someone else can, or that information can, stressful. Then awakening in the realization that I can. And I can by practicing, and applying this in situation to situation to situation, with personality to personality to personality, with knucklehead to knucklehead to knucklehead. That mastery is not so dreamy. And mastering my life then is not so out there, but here now. And again and again and again, here now. As I choose to be here now. Get a sense of it in your body. And what it would be like. Get a sense of it, a feeling of it, an embodiment of it. And describe it. How would you live in life? How would you be in the world? How would you interact with people if you were an embodiment of this, what we've sung about and prayed about and heard this morning? How would you be if you were being that? Shout it out loud. happier, freer, more relaxed, calmer, more peaceful, more in harmony, a lot more fun. This is our attraction, I believe, and our power of attraction. This is our power of transformation. One offering and offering and offering. So, you may as well. Even get a sense of how it feels. The wisdom in one and the pain of the other. So wonderful to be with you. I'm so proud of you. I love you. I love you that are listening. I love you that are serving. I love you that you'll come out again and again and again to find ways to live this transformation. It is a privilege to serve here with you and to serve as you, for you. I also am very tickled about the affiliated New Thought Network, Anton, being here on campus again. It's our second year. We're booked to come back again next year. And those of you that are interested in Matthew Fox, the information was here about his time here in the community center. He's also going to be over there for 2 other sessions in the hotel, the Unity Village Hotel. So if you're local and want to participate in those gatherings, see me after the session here, and we'll get information to you about how you can participate in those ways too. And I love you as a community. Reverend Erin, I bow to you as a leader. And it has been something to witness you stepping into a higher leadership and a deepening your own leadership as you allowed this very precious, precious, precious maternity time for her and this new baby, Georgia. And I bow to you for your wisdom and your unconditional love that makes that possible. And makes possible that this Unity Village Chapel long lives millennia past. Where we've been, good. Where we are, good. Where we go to, great. Thank you for it.